Hi, this is Melissa Manchester, and you lucky people, are listening to TV Confidential.
Herman's Hermits give out with the bikini beat. It's mad, it's frantic, and the screamers still pursue them.
Ed Robertson along with Chuck Harter and our guest, Harvey Lisberg. Harvey Lisberg, the legendary music manager and the mastermind behind such iconic artists as Herman's Hermits, 10cc, and Tony Christie. Harvey's memoir, I'm Into Something Good, My Life Managing 10cc, Herman's Hermits, and many more, is a rollicking, frank, and often very moving look at his 60-plus year career in music that, among other things, reveals the excesses of life on the road with Herman's Hermits, the frustration of championing then unknowns Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber, the highs and lows of managing the brilliant 10cc, and a whole lot more. I'm Into Something Good by Harvey Lisberg, available wherever books are sold through Omnibus Press as well as Amazon.com. As we went to break, Harvey was telling Chuck and I the backstory of Hold On, the second of two movies that Herman's Hermits appeared in for MGM.
And the reason we got Hold On was because Mickey had a hit with Must to Avoid, which was a hit in England, but P.F. Sloan. So Sloan wrote 5 tracks from Hold On, I think, and Hold On itself. The joke about I Must to Avoid is it's stuck in the charts at 27, and in England it came in, and we thought it was a big hit, and I knew the producer, Top of the Pops, who had a girlfriend called Suzette St. Clair. And I said, and I was desperate. We're desperate to get this bloody thing on Top of the Pops. It would save the band. And we did this record with Suzette St. Clair. And we got on Top of the Pops. And the record went up top 5 after that. But if we hadn't been on Top of the Pops, it would have not happened in England. And then maybe not happened in America. But Hold On, that's all I can tell you about Hold On. And really, it was... it was probably like Hard Day's Night Mark II. Now, Sam Katzman, who was the guy that was standing outside the office with a cigar, I had no idea. He'd done 200 films. Mm-hmm. He did Rock Around the Clock. I mean, that was the biggest film in England in 1956. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that when I did the deal. I had no idea. All I knew is he's meant to have done some Elvis Presley films, which I think he had.
Yeah, he did.
So that was how we got in the movies. That's how we got Hold On. And then Mrs. Brown, You Got Me a Daughter was entirely Alan Klein's baby. And he got the best people. I mean, Stanley Holloway and some superb actors. They were all fantastic. But I think the film looks better now than it did then. If you look at it now, because of the nostalgia bit and everything, it's rather sweet. But at the time, it wasn't. And even Hard Day's Night, it wasn't really what it should be. And I always had this feeling. What a shame! Peter had been in Coronation Street as a kid when he was 12, so he was a very talented actor. Peter was the natural, really was. And I thought, what a shame they didn't get a really good script and really develop him, like Frank Sinatra from Here to Eternity.
Yeah, you make an interesting point in the book, Harvey, in that with Help was written by British people who understood British culture and understood the Beatles, whereas Hold On was written by Americans who put it reflects what they think British culture is like versus having an understanding of actual British culture.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, it's true. I mean, it was done, Look, I'm not proud of the films at all. I mean, Listen People was a freak, because that was like Mrs. Brown. There were 2 tracks, and nothing to do with Mickey, that just happened to be done. And those were it was a really big song. It really helped us, helped the popularity of Peter in particular, because we did the Caravan of Stars, and that was a number 2 record in America. Mm-hmm. That really helped. And I just think Mickey had Mickey and Alan Klein. They certainly knew how to make hit records. Definitely.
Peter was 16 when it hit, so for the 6-year career, he's basically teens into early 20s. Looking back, Harvey, how did he cope? He's a kid, he's 24/7, he's getting all the attention. Did he ego out? Did he drink? Did he handle it?
I don't think he was involved in any hard drugs or anything like that. He had disappeared once for 3 days, which probably might have been on a drinking thing, I don't know, and ended up in the bath of the Mamas and Papas where we discovered him. But no, Peter was as good as gold. Peter, it was my job as well. I mean, I had to go to Bow Street Magistrates Court every time I went to America in loco parentis. So John Lennon's switching his drinks at the club, switching his Coca-Cola for vodka and Coke, and I'm looking after him in America as being responsible. But Peter was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was it was a fabulous. It was the happiest time manager artist that I can ever remember. But because everything was going to gold, it didn't matter what I did. It was going to roulette wheel. I'd hit the number. It just was crazy. Everything was crazy, and I think it was such a good feeling between everybody. And like you say, the resentment started. Well, obviously, the band, nobody thought the band was going to have a life for more than like 3 years anyway.
Yeah, right.
And so Mickey had sustained it with all the hits. And, I don't know, I just think Peter wanted to be like a Tommy Steele. He wanted to, when the hits dried up in England, the band went into cabaret, which none of them really liked, but Peter liked. Peter wanted to be a Tommy Steele or Michael Crawford, who were actors and comedy people, and, it was a more comfortable environment, I think, for him. And he was getting a lot of from people in England, and people never respected the band as much as they did in America. America, he was really a golden boy. In England, he was more of not treated as he should have been.
Why was there disrespect in England for Hermits?
Well, there's disrespect for the Monkees, Hermits, Dave Clark, you name it. The ones
too lightweight?
It was all to do with music and what musical tastes were. Or Rolling Stones, they loved the Rolling Stones, and quite rightly so. The music was brilliant, but that was their music, you see. Maybe that's why, because Peter was dependent on Mickey most and dependent on the songs, as opposed to being a band that developed their own music. I don't know. I can't really say. I think the English people were. I don't know. It's weird. There's two types of music. This was the boy next door music,
right? Like
Cliff Richard, that sort of clean-cut thing, and then you have the Beatles, and you have the Rolling Stones, and so the Who. Everybody's in their own category, and I think people like the Kinks or the Who got far more respect than I think they deserved, quite frankly. I mean, on a musical basis, I don't think their music is anywhere near as good as the Rolling Stones, but you wouldn't say that to too many people in America. They worship the Who.
Well, they do. And when the Hermits toured America in 64, 5, 6, and 7, at least what I've read or remember is they wouldn't really play New York or L.A. much, but they'd play the Midwest, play a lot of state fairs. What was that like? Because they're playing to 50,000 people over 2 days. What were the state fairs like?
It was magic. It was crazy. It was everywhere. I mean, it was like everything was a military operation. You had to get them into the stadium. Kids are charging the car. They're all waiting to pounce on the car and charge at the boys and tear the clothes off them. It was like Presley. It was like it was tremendously exciting.
Have you seen the movie That Thing You Do? Tom Hanks made it about 30 years ago.
No, I don't have much respect for Tom Hanks after his portrayal of Colonel Parker.
Well, that's a subject of another conversation. But he made a movie about 30 years ago. He wrote it and directed it and had as a supporting role in it. It's about a Beatles-like band that hits the big time. Only they turned out to be a one-hit wonder, but. When you talk about and when you write about, the whole Caravanic Stars experience in your book, Harvey, it reminds me of he does a good job of portraying that environment. They're on the bus with all the other groups, and they shuttle them from one city to another, and they hit the stage, they do their song, and then they move.
They go into a hotel room.
Yes, or straight onto the bus to the next town.
One hotel room to the next.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss our next episode.
Hi, this is Les Lanham, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Harvey Lisberg is with us via Zoom. Harvey Lisberg, legendary music manager and the mastermind behind such iconic artists as 10cc, Tony Christie, and Hermits. Harvey's memoir, I'm Into Something Good, My Life Managing 10cc, Hermits, and many more, available wherever books are sold through Omnibus Press as well as Amazon.com. Chuck?
Did the Hermits not tour America in 68, 9, and 70? Did they give up on the American market? Because it seems like
MGM gave up on them.
And what was that? Why?
Didn't fulfill their commitment because they weren't having hits.
They were having hits in Europe at that time.
Yes, but in America they weren't having hits. And then we had a deal where we had to supply so many songs. And we weren't going to let them out of the contract by saying, you haven't delivered us the product. Mm-hmm. So the album you've got's probably got 20 or 30 tracks that the boys all did of other people's material at Strawberry Studio. And we delivered to EMI 66 tracks, whatever had to be done to complete and then they sued them. And then they went in court eventually in 20-something or other.
Is that why the Blaze album came out in 67 and there were no further albums? There are no albums in 68 and 69 and 70.
Because, there was a lead, that was it. They didn't want to know.
That's funny because
it was MGM.
There's a documentary on Mickey Most, and he's got Peter in the studio recording a track, and he says, this is going to be for the Sunshine Girl album, but there never was a Sunshine Girl album. Was that all litigation?
Girl was a big hit in England. Was it a hit?
Semi, but is that why there were no?
Two in England, I think.
Is that why there were no later albums? It was litigation, or were they just nobody was interested?
Peter split from wanted to go on his own, so I don't know when that happened.
That's 70.
That's 1970. So you're talking about between 68 and 70, where I think we had records in England but not America. I think Lady Barbara was
singles. But no albums.
No. Well, we were never an album act in England, really.
And because they weren't touring America, there was no call in America for Hermits albums. Was that it? Because it's just weird. You've got albums coming out through 67 and Blaze, and then nothing.
The boys went into cabaret. I can't really... I don't really remember, which doesn't make sense to me, really. I know that once things dried up, America, they just didn't want any more product. They wouldn't put anything out.
Wow.
And, I don't even know if Oh You Pretty Thing, was that put out in America? Because that was the first track that Peter did on his own.
It barely.
A David Bowie track.
Barely. It was a British hit.
And there was a big hit in there, and it was David Bowie before David Bowie was known.
Right, he was a writer.
On David Bowie's first album, Oh You Pretty Thing. So, I think there's the gap. I think there wasn't a split between Hermits and Herman Peter at the time, but they were drifting apart. Peter wanted to be an all-round entertainer that played the Palladium. The band were wanted more of the... I think something happened at the Broad Command performance that really sparked a real bad feeling. I don't think they met the royal family, the group, but Peter did. Something
That's
like
true.
That was awful.
And looking
And
at
I think that was the last straw, but I think that was 69.
that was 70.
That was 70 as well.
And looking at the performance, Harvey, that you have about 5 minutes of band doing 2 of the last hits, and then it's 10 minutes of he's a cabaret star, and they're dancing behind him, looking really fake smiles.
They were earning their money, you see.
But it's no band anymore. Yeah. It's the Peter show.
It's Peter and the Hermits.
Well, that's what happened. I mean, it wasn't my doing, but no, it was. That's what Peter wanted, and I think he was right in a way to split, because it wasn't going anywhere.
And we'll pick up that thread when we play part 2 of our conversation with Harvey Lisberg next week on TV Confidential. We'll also talk about Harvey's uncanny ear for recognizing a hit record the first time he heard it, the role he played in developing the career of Tony Christie, and how he helped make possible Neil Sedaka's comeback as a songwriter and performer in the 1970s. Part 2 of our conversation with Harvey Lisberg next week on TV Confidential. Harvey's memoir, I'm Into Something Good, My Life Managing 10cc, Hermits, and many more, available wherever books are sold, through Omnibus Press as well as Amazon.com. Also joining us next week will be Hal Eisner, the multiple award-winning broadcast journalist who covered the news every day for 58 years, including 43 years in Los Angeles. Hal Eisner will also join us next week on TV Confidential. In the meantime, Ed Robertson, after Tony Figueroa, Donna Allen, Phil Grace, and Susan Silver, thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.